Trump has two traits that I really like: his magnanimity and benevolence. Those were on full display in the Oval Office. Oval Office reporters, for the first time in their lives, took a day off from attacking Trump, and their questions were directed at Zohran Mamdani. They were asking him to reaffirm things he said about Trump in the past, and Mamdani's brain, with very few brain cells, couldn't handle it. He had to reach deep inside his brain and pull out rehearsed answers. And there was a moment where Trump stepped in and saved him from himself. Vice President Vance knows what I'm talking about. POTUS has a lot of good moments, but this is an all-timer. The reporter is going to ask Mamdani if he stands by his past comments calling the president a fascist.
To Stephen Nelson, he asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
You can't hate Trump, man. He knew Mamdani was going to give everybody a word salad answer. He was like, just say yes. And then Zohran, per the president's instruction, just says yes.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
It's easier than explaining it. I don't want to overanalyze, but that has some deep meaning to it. Because there is no good explanation to call Trump a fascist. And this is that initial reporter's question, which Mamdani dodged once more.
And for Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I...
Did he nod there? I think he might have nodded.
Any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
What a guy Donald Trump is. My entire X feed is full of liberals confused why Trump would say something like that, why he would agree with Mamdani. First of all, he was joking when he said, yeah, you can call me a fascist. Obviously, he's joking. But the reason they're confused at Trump's kindness is because they're never exposed to it. Leftists are taking a huge victory lap, claiming Mamdani dominated the meeting with President Trump. Patrick Bet-David described this moment as when you're comfortable in your own skin. And Trump is comfortable in his own skin. There was a moment where Trump gave Mamdani some advice about how politics actually works, that you go in with certain ideas and over time your views change. And then Trump said, I feel confident that he can do a very good job, giving Mamdani the benefit of the doubt and the opportunity to prove himself. And these liberals are like, what the F did Zohran say to him? As if like Mamdani convinced Trump of something. And then they of course mischaracterize the moment where Mamdani says yes, after Trump says, go ahead and say it, and saved us all from the inbounding word salad. Then they're like, Trump loves Zohran so much, he let him call him a fascist in the Oval Office. What is happening? Trump freaking loves this guy. Find you someone who looks at you like Donald Trump looks at Zohran. So the left got exposed to Trump's charisma, and none of them understand it. This is precisely why we like Trump in the first place. He is a populist, and he's able to say, look, Zohran is a communist, I am not. But we have one thing in common, which is we want New York to be better. Why does that have to be Trump, like, capitulating to Mamdani? It's kindness. That's what I meant by Trump's benevolence and magnanimity. He shows charity to everybody. Trump was touted to be the bull in the china shop. Do you guys remember that whole reference? He was going to come in and wreck everything, destroy civility, order, and send the country into chaos. That's what the media said. We might have agreed. From a different angle, we wanted him to be the bull in the china shop, but for the political system, to destroy the corruption and the swamp that has been destroying America. But he's not that at all. Believe it or not, Trump is a very neutral figure. He campaigned on locking Hillary Clinton up and ultimately didn't do it because it would have looked bad for the country to be locking up the former First Lady of the United States and the former Secretary of State. He said it would have appeared as a bastardization of the judicial. He didn't say that exactly, but that's how I'm paraphrasing it. Now, we all disagree with that viewpoint. Hillary should be in jail because she committed real crimes. But to Trump, maintaining an outward appearance of integrity in the system was important. It certainly would have looked some kind of way if you locked up your political opponent after getting in office. Ignorant people would have thought you were a dictator for that. And so he didn't do it. I mean, we just read a tweet from J.D. Vance, who is Trump's vice president. We like J.D. Vance now, but we certainly didn't like him when he was calling Trump a Nazi and Hitler a few years ago. Vance was an outspoken Trump hater, and Trump forgave him, brought him into his circle, and now he's the vice president. Trump has a high degree of perspicacity, and for a guy who was diagnosed by the leftist media of being a narcissist, he certainly doesn't believe everything revolves around him. He looks at the whole picture. Trump supporters love RFK Jr. now. He's our Health and Human Services Secretary. But he ran against Trump at some point. And I think like 20 years ago, RFK Jr. was involved with an environmental group and sued anybody who was involved in construction projects that were harming the environment. And Trump was one of those people. At that point, he was the biggest developer in New York. Now, nobody wants to develop in New York, but RFK Jr. sued Trump. There was a time when he needed to catch a flight, and Trump allowed him on his private jet. Letting a guy who's dragging you to court on your private jet is crazy, but that's Trump's character. His philosophy is he wouldn't have any friends left if he threw out everyone who was ever against him. So to bring it back to Zohran Mamdani, the reason the president showed him great charity was because having a cordial relationship with the mayor of New York City will go a longer way than bringing him to the Oval Office to Zelensky him. Trump could have easily turned this into an ambush and would have made him look bad, because I think Zohran Mamdani was always coming to appear civil, and so Trump just reciprocated the kindness. And he did it in a hilarious manner. Think of this, if Trump and Mamdani walked out of this meeting feeling more intense against the other than before, when those inevitable critical moments arrive in the next few years, who's going to call who if they have bad blood? Mamdani might have campaigned on, I'm going to be his worst nightmare, but in practice, Trump controls a lot of things about how his administration will go. Whether it's federal funding, security clearances, law enforcement activities, federal troops, and potential takeovers of the city if things get bad enough. The Orange Man has more power than you can realize. And for Trump, you want the biggest city in the country to perform well because it's a referendum on him and the American people. What does it say about us if New York turns into Paris or London and becomes a dump? Do you think Trump wants the home of his father, maybe his grandparents, to be a dump? Of course not. Anyways, I think people on our side need to understand that Trump is a pragmatist, and he wasn't necessarily going to go in there trying to punch Zohran Mamdani. Come on. It's good for the country, honestly. We can use a little bit less division and trying to fight each other all the time. Zohran's still a commie, though. And we'll go back to calling him a commie tomorrow, but today, we were nice to him. Thanks for watching. God bless and goodbye.